a heartfelt welcome to each and every one of you. Time is really precious these days, and to be together is just amazing. So the Educators Consortium is entering its 27th year. We are your network for enriching meaningful service learning in your school community and homes, and for helping youth adopt a lifelong passion for addressing local and global issues. Use our references and tools at www, those who don't have this, you should, discoverecsl.org. We're available basically 24/7, because why sleep when you don't have to, for any assistance resources that we can provide you. One brief housekeeping note that I've not really brought up before is this is our 8th conversation now. Wonderful conversation. Plus, ECSL hosted a February equity workshop at the Museum of Tolerance. We are a nonprofit. We are totally nonprofit. We exist on school memberships that enable as many participants from your school to attend as desire. And I wanted to share that with COVID, I hadn't brought this up before, but we will be emailing your school's invitation to support, whether membership or any donation, to keep us thriving so that we can be here for all of you. So that's just a heads up. You'll get an email and you're free to process it in any way you feel appropriate. With heartfelt kudos and thanks to ECSL's amazing program director, Marissa Najarian, who's just phenomenal. Wave Marissa so everybody knows. And Fu Tranke and RJ Sakai for bringing the content of this conversation to life today for all of us. During this week of Thanksgiving, we have so much to be grateful for. 2020 is actually not nearly as horrific as 1346, which was the year of the Black Plague, or other centuries with pandemics, because we have ways to protect ourselves, and through the internet, so many options for growth and entertainment. So let's reframe what we can do and not be focusing on what we can't. I'm going to take you back to the ancient 7th century BC Asian oracle, the Book of Yi Jing, that described unpredictable changes as follows. When in days, months, and years, the season has no yi, the 100 cereals do not ripen. The administration is dark and unenlightened. Talented men of the people are in petty positions. The house is not at peace. When in years, months, and days the season has yi, the 100 cereals ripen. The administration is enlightened. Talented men of people are distinguished, and the house is peaceful and at ease. We have yi when things are off track, when chaos erupts into our life and the usual bearings no longer suffice for orientation. Such times can bring about great learning. Though painful, disconcerting, and full of anxiety, it is on this edge between order and chaos that the subtle dance of life takes place. New coping opportunities has brought all of us together at this moment. Making people-to-people connections, partnering, is one of the most productive ways to ride these waves of change that we're all experiencing and bearing with and trying to manage and understand. On behalf of ECSL, we hope you'll take to heart the energy and ideas shared today and ignite partnerships that engage your schools and your students. We're going to begin by taking a moment to disconnect from all the cacophony and to center. So with this, let's sit up tall. Sit up tall, tall. Top of your head reaches upwards. Your tail is anchored and grounded. And I want you to close your eyes for one breath. So you're going to
I'm driving.
And then take a slow, deep breath inwards. Start just below your navel. Rise.
Are you working in Google Docs or what are you working on?
Okay, someone needs to mute.
You're not online right now, okay?
Someone needs to mute as we're breathing, but that's what life is like today. Let's do it again. Exhale, inhale, just start below your navel, rise up through your diaphragm, through your lungs, through your throat, to your top of your head, and now release. And open your eyes, make space so you can move your arms around, okay? And what we're going to do is you're going to use the energy from your wrists to lift and the palms of your hands to pull. And you can follow as we inhale and rise to touch the clouds and exhale to return to earth. Then we're going to inhale, lift arms to the side and touch our wings. And exhale to float. Now we're going to come front. We're going to inhale to open the universe. So reach to the side, as far to the side and as far back as you can reach. And then close to gather chi to your heart. Now close your eyes and with a gentle smile on your face, take one more deep, full inhale of gratitude. And one more deep exhale, full of peace. And I toss to Marissa.
Thank you, Donna. So from the beginning of our sessions, these Zoom sessions that we've been planning, we've always tried to offer a space for centering for our entire service learning community. And part of that is centering within that Donna just helped us to do. And part of it is centering between each other. And one great way to do that, as many of you all know, is with community agreements. And so we always share at the beginning just our version of some community agreements. Many you've seen before, some might be a new take on that. And so I'll share it with you here. I think what's a nice way to frame it today is that we're not just thinking about what that might look like with our students within our classroom, but how could we use these types of community agreements to help us establish our relationships with our partners, the people that we're trying to partner with. So take that into these as I share them and what that might look like, not just from our classroom, but from a partnership perspective. So I'll share those with you quickly here. These are also very helpful when it comes to our breakout room sessions. So you'll see that when we go into our breakout sessions, that these are very helpful as well. We have step up, step back, ask for literacy moments, honor our multiple identities, acknowledge intent as distinct from impact, being present and open to learning and taking risks, and what might not be visible is what is said here stays here, and what is learned here leaves here. One that may feel new in this space is what literacy moment entails. And I think that's applicable for our partnerships because we think of literacy as not just like the typical reading literacy that we should be showing, but also how are we literate in other areas of our lives. And this is an opportunity to step up and to say, I'm not really familiar with that concept. Can you please share a little bit more with me from your perspective? And I can see how taking that idea of bridging and building these literacy moments for things in our lives can be really essential to our partnerships that we're engaging in. So those we can also bring into our breakout room space. So today we are going to be hearing from some partnerships that have formed from all of our work together at ECSL. We have RJ Sakai is here, and he's here with his students on this Zoom today, and they're going to be sharing with us their experience in developing student innovation projects and how they've been developing student to organization partnerships. We'll take what we've learned and hearing from them, we'll take those stories into our breakout room so that we can spend some time processing those and figuring out how we're going to move, contextualize it within our own stories of partnerships, and how can we move from intention to implementation. We'll return from the breakout sessions where we'll also hear another story of a school-to-school partnership that is still developing called Mucho Amor. So we have various forms of partnership that we're exploring, and always within the context of each other. One of the great benefits of getting together in these Zoom spaces is to have the opportunity to share stories amongst ourselves because stories are such a powerful way to help us move from those ideas to that implementation. So RJ, thank you so much for being here today to share your experiences with us.
Of course. Thank you. I'm going to share my screen and just present for less than 10 minutes and then pass it over to some students to give them a chance to give you some kind of teasers about what they're doing and their student experience. And that will hopefully provide some nice fodder for breakout room conversation. So as Marissa has said, I'm the Director of Social Innovation at Sequoia School in Pasadena. I work at our high school campus. We're a K-12 campus. Just for the past 5 years or so, we've had a high school campus. And the Social Innovation Program is a co-curricular program that all of our students are required to partake in for each of the 4 years that they're with us, 9th through 12th grade. It's a credit, no credit course that is required for graduation. Don't know if I said that. And it happens every week of every year for all of our students and all of our faculty members. And so it's a really core integral part of who we are in our academic program. It's an opportunity for students to learn about different social and environmental issues that they care about. We have more than 45 different topics and projects being worked on this year. This is like a small random sampling of some of the topics that our students have chosen. And it's really, we try and focus it around the students' need, the students' own life experience, and what is speaking to them as an issue that matters for them and for their lives. Certainly service learning is one of the aspects that we think about as we design our social innovation program curriculum and the experiences we provide for students. And there's lots of other kind of modalities that we look at as we design our program out. So for instance, for me, I come from a design background, I come from an anthropology background. And so the questions that each of those disciplines ask, things like, what's going on here? What's happening in this community? How do I get to know people? From the anthropology side and from the design side, what do we do? What do we make? How do we iterate an idea? How do we take a small interaction and improve it? How do we look at a large system and improve it? As well as, of course, as all of these other kind of modes that might live in different corners of your own school communities. So I present this just to say that we really try and provide an opportunity for students to figure out where they live in this complex Venn diagram and provide a lot of different opportunities for them to identify their own change-making practice and what that means for them. As our high school program is, we operate on a mastery-based grading system. And so each of our courses have learning outcomes, and SIP, or the Social Innovation Program, is not any different. In particular, I wanted to call out some of these 4 learning outcomes, which I think are important when we think about partnerships. So as I think about partnerships, I know every school in this Zoom room has awesome partnerships, I'm sure, with organizations. And we've certainly got some going also. And the focus of my work and the learning that we try and instill with our students and all of our faculty who serve as faculty facilitators. Shout out to Marisol, who's here to talk about the Mucho Amor collaboration, who works as a SIP faculty facilitator. But the work that we do, I think, is really focused on giving students the skills and giving students the opportunity to develop relationships with people and develop partnerships with other organizations and people beyond their own SIP days, right? Like what are the skills that they're learning that will take them and serve them well beyond their high school years into college and professional life, whether they become an activist and a grassroots organizer, or they become a legislator, or they become a social entrepreneur or a designer. I want to make sure that they have some solid skills in being able to pick up the phone, talk to someone they've never talked to, and land an informational interview or an informational conversation to begin a partnership. I want to make sure that they're able to professionally email with people so that they can, again, develop those partnerships. I want to make sure they can speak articulately and in a compelling way about the issues that matter to them. because that's going to take them far when we think about collaborative partnerships. So these learning outcomes in particular are some things that I think we try and design our experiences around. So hopefully you've got a chance to take a look at them. I'm happy to, this is all on our website, sequoiasip.org. So I won't read them out loud to all of you, but feel free to take a look there. So with that in mind, I was asked to talk about Creative Connections. There are a few folks in the room who participated in Creative Connections last year as well as this year. This is a photo from last spring. We squeezed this in, I think it was in February. We were able to have it in person. And it's an opportunity for our students to talk with a whole variety of different people about their SIP work in these lightning round conversations. So in person, they were 5 minutes long. This time around in Zoom, they were 8 minutes long. And I want to walk you through how we made it happen. So on Zoom, again, here it is. We invited 20 plus people to join us to have conversations with our students. And so this is an opportunity for students to not only get practice in talking about their work, but also when we think about equity of student experience and like kind of social capital, who knows who, is something that I want to level the playing field around. And so this is one opportunity for students, for all students, to really get an opportunity to talk with a whole variety of folks. Just to give you an idea, I've heard that this is something that other schools want to do. Just to give you an idea of who's in this Zoom room for Creative Connections in October, we have maybe 3 high school, Sequoia School admin colleagues of mine. We have maybe 3 former parents of Sequoia School. We have a couple current parents. Hi to Renee and Fu, educators from other schools. I put the call out to kind of friends of the program, so of the social innovation program. So there's a number of people here who have met with students in the past, and we've kind of been able to keep up that relationship with them. And it's an exciting opportunity. You know, it's an hour-long experience for these guests. I'm going to play a video as I talk. This is a screencast, a sped up screencast of the morning. So technologically, how this happened in the latest, can you give me a thumbs up if the video is speeding through? Looks good, okay. So in the latest update of Zoom, you're able to put yourself into breakout rooms. So that's how we made it work. You can see the breakout room window flying through as people shift themselves between rooms, and in the main session, students are flying through as they maybe have an empty period. I'm pasting in messages broadcast out to the breakout rooms saying when the sessions are going to end and when next sessions are going to begin. And so it was like very thrilling for me to be hosting it and facilitating it, but it worked generally well. And so I want to just share with you some of the documents that we used to make this happen. Actually, so that you're not hearing me all the time, I'm going to pause here and maybe hear from the students about what it was like to participate in Creative Connections. And then I can walk you through some of the nuts and bolts of how we made it happen. So I'm happy to introduce Jackson. Jackson, can you talk for a minute or two about your SIP work and what your experience at Creative Connections was like?
Yeah, so basically what's cool is, first of all, we did it at the beginning of the year. So for me, when I was 10 years old, I was diagnosed with a brain tumor. So I knew that I wanted to help kids who have gone through, or maybe were even at the beginning of that process that I've been through. And so currently in my stage of my medical journey, I'm all good. I still have to have MRIs. I've had a bunch of them, but I knew I wanted to help kids who were at the beginning of this process. And I wanted to be that type of support for those kids. And so I didn't know how I was going to be that support, but I knew that I wanted to do that. And basically in my very first interview, which was with our head of school, Mark Alongi, he told me, what if you created sort of like a network of kids like you so that other kids could have like a big brother or sister, somebody that's been through that type of process like you. And so basically, as I went through my 8-minute interviews, I told people, so this is the idea I've been developing for the last 30 minutes. Where can we take this? And what are your thoughts? And I was meeting with people who were leaders of different camps and Imagineers at Disney. And so people who knew sort of the ins and outs of what I was trying to create, how to start an organization. And so at the end, I started with an idea, and at the end, I finished with a project. And so if anybody has anything they would, if you want to reach out to me, RJ can send you my email, and I'd love to have a conversation.
Thanks, Andrea, and then Amber.
Hi, I'm Andrea. And for the past 2 years, I've been working on criminal justice reform. And so what I took away from Creative Connections was basically knowing that I'm supported in the community. My team and I don't necessarily know where we want to go with this project still, but Creative Connections gave us so many ideas, as well as connections, as in like I know I can contact these people because they were very friendly, they were really supportive, they had all these different like organizations that they knew personally. And we also, it was a great opportunity to just talk to a bunch of people that just sounded interesting, because they may not be like working on the exact same topic as we were, but you never know who knows who, and you never know like who these people may have connections to. So that was really awesome. And yeah, that's a little bit about my experiences with Creative Connections.
Thanks. Yeah, so often the folks that students talk to are willing to make an introduction to someone that they know that might be interested in talking with students further. Amber.
Hello, excuse me. Hello, everyone. My name is Amber, and I've been in the SIP program for about 4 years, but this was my first year attending Creative Connections, and I enjoyed it so much. One thing that really stuck out to me was that, well, first, to give an overview of what my project for SIP is this year, I'm working in a group with 2 of my peers and looking at indoor greenery, but we have 3 areas in which we want to focus, which are health, learning about health of plants and how to care for them, equity access, and also sustainability and design. And so those are 3 things that over the past few weeks we developed, and we knew we wanted to include within our project, as they're all important to us, but we just didn't know how. And Creative Connections was the answer to putting all that together. We spoke with many people that day, but one way in which our project really formed was when we spoke to a Disney Imagineer, and he gave us a beginning and a target and a production. And so, as I mentioned, those 3 areas of health, of plants, equity access, and sustainability and design, he said, okay, start with education first so that everyone knows what you're talking about and they can be familiar with that. Then have a target, so know what your population should be in terms of equity. And then lastly, have production. So then think about how you're going to build these plants or these pots that we want to be placed inside people's homes to improve air quality. So those are all, that was just a really large takeaway for us, because we had 3 ideas. We didn't know exactly what to do with it, but by speaking to others at Creative Connections, it helped our project come together. And so that was one of the most impactful things for us.
Thank you all. Amber, you got to check out the chat. Got a message waiting for you. So there are some links in the ECSL agenda document, and I just want to walk you through what
I love to travel.
Whew.
Thank you, Renee, for being so flexible about that. Quick little trip to breakout rooms, but we're back now. Apologies.
You'll be able to get in breakout rooms just in a sec. I just want to share what what kind of resources I'm sharing with you here.
Take the time you need.
Sounds good. So I was asked to speak kind of about the nuts and bolts of how we made this happen. So of course, a lot of emailing. This whole thing I probably was able to organize within 3 weeks. I sent out invite emails first, maybe within 2 or 3 weeks of the event actually happening. Here's a sample email I sent to admin colleagues. That's kind of the most generic ask. And then of course I customized this as I reached out to other organizations and other guests. Included here is a link to a form, and in that form, ask for all their general info as well as a bio, because that bio went into a document that students could reference in the lead up. So here's all the bios of our guests. All those bios then informed students as to which slots they wanted to sign up for. So I created a sign up genius that included all of our, I think we had 6 different sessions in the hour, and 1 session for each guest. And so I asked students to sign up and give a sentence about what their work is. I did end up kind of, once the sign up day happened in class, I did kind of end up suggesting which guest students should meet with in case there were any kind of holes or gaps. And as I knew the guests and I know the students' projects, I was able to kind of play matchmaker even further. I projected this slide, which just had reminders for the event before it happened. Just kind of showing the time. And so as it happened, students were responsible for joining the breakout rooms and guests stayed in their own breakout room that was labeled with their name. So students just cycled through on their own and into the broadcast feature of Zoom. I put out time reminders saying that you have 30 seconds remaining in this session 1 before session 2 begins. So I'm happy to, chat offline with folks if this is something that you're interested in, and happy to answer any questions that you might have then. Otherwise, I think we're going to head into breakout rooms. And as I understand it, maybe our students will be split up into rooms, and we'd be happy to answer any questions you have about Creative Connections or the work that they do in the social innovation program more broadly. This is just one piece, one day of our whole 4-year curriculum that they've been through. Or if you just want to talk about other things, I'm sure that's a great too.
Thank you, RJ. Yes, so accidentally we went to breakout rooms a few minutes earlier than we had hoped, but now we actually do get to engage in breakout rooms, and hopefully you've heard some things today that will let you kind of build out your ideas. And most importantly, this is a space for you to share ideas and just confer with your colleagues and think about where you are with your partnerships and where you want to go, and use each other as a resource to move forward. So in the chat, I've put the shared Google document. This has always been helpful for us in these Zoom sessions to be able to take some notes and record what we've done and share resources in that way. So on the shared document, you will see our guidelines for our breakout rooms, our questions that we'll be attending to when we're there, and how to share that time. We ask that when you enter into your breakout room, if you could please populate the shared document with your name and your email so that we can remain in touch if and need be. And then we will also give you some space to fill in those notes. Sometimes in some groups, people will want to choose a scribe to take notes. And you'll just toss the conversation, having the floor, having the screen for 5 minutes. And the questions that we'll go over, I'm going to put now in the chat as well, but those are also on the shared doc, which I will repost in case people didn't get that. So these will be a few questions that we'll utilize to help us work through our stories of partnerships. And I will share the Google Doc one more time there. And we'll see you back here on the other side, where we'll hear from a school-to-school partnership, mucho amor. Here you go.
Thanks,
So-
Andrea, Amber, and Jackson for being
Yes,
here. Maybe we
thanks
can
to our
give them a-
students who
Oh
are
my
here.
God, definitely.
They were fabulous.
Amazing.
Great to hear it.
That's
Y'all are
fabulous.
free to head out. We have one more thing on our agenda, but thank you for being here.
So yes, thank you to the students for being here. It always adds such a dynamic element to our space. And you're welcome to stay if you'd like to hear more.
Yeah,
But-
this is part B actually, so you don't want to miss part B because it tees off of part A. So
Right.
I think we should, we can launch. I think almost everybody's back, right?
I think everyone's back. I think we're ready. I have the luxury of being able to watch the shared document unfold. And I always like to bring something communal to the space because you're all off on your own conversations. So I'll share one note that I read that I thought was powerful, that resonated with us today. And it was that they're seeking modern, innovative, and participatory partnerships, and that they're looking to help moving things from a them issue to an us issue. And I really like that highlights, when we're thinking about our partnerships, how we can see the interconnectivity of all of these issues, and also how we can all be interconnected to make the change. And so we wanted to give you that space for contemplation and conversation, so you could move from intention to implementation with what you're working on to navigate building partnerships. And we really want to invite you to read through that shared document on your own time. And also just send an email to someone you want to connect with or that you have a question for. That's really how a lot of these partnerships get underway, how they've begun and how they've thrived. So we're going to hear from a school-to-school partnership now that was born out of our ECSL space. And has taken on amazing dimensions that they're still developing. So I'm going to invite Fu to share a little bit, give us a little bit of context, and then we're going to be hearing from some of the teachers involved in this partnership.
A quick time out before Food chimes in.
Sure.
Anybody who needs to connect with anybody who doesn't have email addresses, just write ECSL and I'll connect anybody who needs anything. Fu, it's all yours.
I'm actually going to pass it off to Renee, who's also been a part of this ECSL. You've all heard from me before, and definitely want to share the space. And Renee is very much a part of this, and someone whose partnership I value that has come out of ECSL. So I just want to say that one piece. And it's been such a pleasure to connect with, to partner with Renee very directly in some of this work, and RJ as well. Just try to make this network grow, take advantage, really follow up with people, and things can happen.
Yeah, well, thank you so much, Fu. I also value the connections with you and RJ and all the teachers and sort of the isolated people who work in roles like community engagement coordinator. They can be quite isolating, very lonely. So having this new partnership, it has been phenomenal. In Polytechnic, I'm the student community engagement coordinator for 6th grade through 12th grade at Poly. And for the past 6 years or more, we've really been pushing to switch from sort of a charity model, community service model, to one of service learning, and to incorporate the skills, the investigation, the preparation for action into our classrooms. And that's been a really hard thing to do. However, recently, in the past 2 years, there have been some really bold, brave teachers who have said, you know what, I'm ready to go for this. I want to change the curriculum to be based around social justice and service learning. And one of those classes in particular was an advanced level Spanish class. And last year, some teachers spent all summer redoing their curriculum around service learning. We got the results at the end of the year, the reflections from the students, and the students were amazed and thrilled. They learned so much Spanish. The comments they said about what community engagement is to them now is phenomenal. And now we have a new teacher took over the Spanish 4 class, Ms. Garcia, Cynthia Garcia Macedonio. Right now, she's here with us too. She reached out to me, and she and I have been partnering. She said, I really want to find a way for our students to connect with senior citizens who've been isolated more than ever through COVID, and our Spanish-speaking senior citizens. How can we reach out to them and share stories and let them know they're not alone? How can we learn from each other? How can our students meet them and just be, have this beautiful connection? So with that, I brought that question to one of the ECSL meetings, and Fu and RJ, we jumped on that, and we talked separately, and we just said, you know what, let's get our Spanish teachers together. Let's just see what everybody else knows. Who are you guys working with? How can we get this started? And so I sent out hello to some people, and Fu followed up, coordinated a meeting for us. And as we started this first conversation, we're like, who are you? I don't know, who are you? But there was this sense of, we all love the same thing. We love our students. We love our community. We want to know, and there was just this sense of warmth, in a freaking faculty meeting with strangers. The warmth that was present, it was just like we were all totally telling strangers that we loved them. It was weird. And one teacher in particular says, like, tengo mucho amor ahorita para ustedes and for the community. And she said it very casually. In fact, that was Cynthia. She said it so casually. And somebody joked, like, that sounds like a good name for our group, mucho amor. And we were like, haha, yeah, that's great. Next thing you know, all our emails have mucho amor in the subject line. And now we're mucho amor. So that's the background to how this connection with each other started. And we're each kind of sharing what we're doing out in the community and sharing with each other and bring it together. So with that, I will turn it back to Fu. Fu, are you going to be facilitating the Q&A of our teachers?
I would just love for them all to introduce. We have Cynthia here, we have Marisol here, we have Maite here, and we also have Trish here. If you all introduce yourselves, and I'm, and the best thing about this group is that's all I'm going to do to facilitate it, because they're just going to go run right now.
Cynthia, why don't you start, Cynthia?
Of course. Buenas tardes, good afternoon. My name is Cynthia Garcia Macedonio. I teach at Polytechnic together with Maite. She's my colleague, my department head. She handed the Spanish 4 class. She created the curriculum last year with another colleague of ours. And she's like, I know you're gonna give it your own twist. Here it is, but I know you're gonna give it your own twist. Y dicho y hecho. Of course, I'm giving it my own twist with a zest of Zoom. That's what we're doing right now. So we started just giving you, we're at the investigation stage. We're really into Indigenous people this year, recognizing the difference between Latinx y gente indígena, and recognizing the different visions of the world. So we've had Odilia Romero, who is the director of Mi Cielo, come to talk to us about the obstacles, challenges of all the Indigenous people, Mexican Indigenous people here in Los Angeles. And then not too long ago, we had Luis Valentin, who is the director of the Pasadena Job Center. So right now we are in generating ideas to see where we're gonna go with all of these. The students are incredibly inspired. They're like, give us more. So that's where we are right now. And as far as our story with the older population, we are still working on that because we've had several challenges, people not calling us back, but we're persistent. So thank you. I will give it to Maite.
I didn't know I was supposed to speak about anything here today.
Yeah.
Anyway, so as Cynthia said, I'm happy to share what I am doing in my classes. Cynthia said I started last year with another colleague of mine. We took the Spanish 4 curriculum and we completely redesigned it. It's really my passion and my dream to really embed service learning in the not just the Spanish curriculum, but in every language curriculum. And we started with that class, and the entire class was really, the service learning was embedded in the curriculum, because I'm a big believer of embedding and not adding it on, right? So we really put together a curriculum where we were teaching Spanish at the same time that the kids would really engage in different service learning projects and a true understanding of it. Renee came and spoke in our class. And anyway, as she said, the feedback from the students at the end of the year, it brought tears to my heart. So the goal now is really, I would love to continue that. And there was a little bit of a conversation over the summer between Cynthia, Renee, and me about studying that from level 1 and how that will look like going, moving forward. In my level 5, which is a class called Comunidad Global en Acción. So I teach that, and I teach AP Lit. So in the Comunidad Global, we've been focusing in the teaching of human rights, on our kids just now are turning in projects that they studied in October, and they really focus on an area of interest that it is related with sort of like a problem in the community. So there is a tie in there between service learning, because part of it is like, what can we do about, right? And what their involvement will be. So I'm really excited to be part of the Mucho Amor group. I have not been able to join any meetings yet, but I'm hoping to do that in the future, and to, of course, partner with Renelle Arias, which I want to do a big shout out to her, because there is service learning at Poly before Renee, meaning no service learning, and then there is truly service learning with Renee, and she is incredible, and we're very lucky to have her at Polytechnic. So
I just want to add, somehow, I don't know how, I neglected to include Renee at my opening remarks. And she is one of our guiding lights, and we are so supportive of everything. She has carried this ball on her back by herself for a long time, I apologize. You've done a great job.
It's fantastic. It really is fantastic.
Thank you so much. I would love to hear again at how we're sharing our resources and how we're sharing our partnerships with each other. And Marisol, are you, or Trish, Marisol or Trish, would you like to go and talk about Mucho Amor and how we're all benefiting from that? Go ahead, Marisol.
Hi, everyone. I feel really fortunate to be joining this group. RJ and Fu and Renee and sort of invited me into the fold. I'm the department chair of Spanish at Sequoia. And it was really great to start at a school where it's sort of like, okay, go ahead and design the program. Like, go for it. It's like a blank slate, So I think I had the benefit of just kind of coming in and seeing what the mission of Sequoia is, and experiencing the social innovation program at the same time that I was designing and sort of coming up with projects and classes. And so sort of my approach to Spanish was to see how I could really make connections with our other programs. And I've taken a lot of inspiration from SIP to which is our social innovation program. Sorry, we're so used to calling it SIP that we just say that. But yeah, so we take students to Costa Rica, for example. And so when I do, they go to a coffee growing community. And so, for example, in my Spanish class, I incorporated a big unit where I have students really explore everything about coffee. I've taken them to meet with local coffee businesses, talk to roasters, talk to them about different aspects, do cupping, all sorts of things where they ask a wide variety of questions, understanding from multiple angles, and then designing their own, thinking about environmental changes and how that affects the process, designing their own brand, defending their practices, Shark Tank style, pitching, all sorts of things that are sort of taking from some of these SIP skills that they practice and learn, and inviting RJ into the classroom to talk to them about how do you talk about a theory of change in Spanish? What if you were to design a community organization? How would you pitch that? How would you think about how to help? And just I've incorporated all sorts of SIP elements into various projects, and I've taken students and have asked them to think about volunteering. And so there's just a lot of ways in which I feel like SIP supports Spanish and Spanish supports SIP. It's like this wonderful relationship, having students interview people who come to my classes, directors, all sorts of different ways. And so when they invited me to this group, Fu shared about a program called Walking in Their Footsteps. I think it's at the correct title. And it's about considering the journey of an immigrant and looking at that issue from multiple angles. And it made me think a lot about a project I did last year with students that was not about immigrants, but it was about the idea of thinking about what it means to live in the land of dreams. And what it means to have dreams from various angles. And so I took students out to Las Fotos Project, which is an organization that teaches photography skills to young women, mostly Latinx girls and teenagers. And I took the students to an exhibit where they shared about place and identity and what it means to feel at home. We went to the Broad and saw the Shireen Nishat exhibit, and they curated and did that all for us in Spanish. And I also took them to La Plaza de Culturas y Artes, and we saw the sort of historical layout and thought about some of the issues that they think about in SIP and other programs about redlining and land and all sorts of things. So we kind of combined all of that into, now that you know all of this and have thought about this, I want you to go interview a community member and talk to them about the land, what's their land of dreams and what are their dreams and what does it mean to belong. Write a poem about it, and take some pictures and present that in a virtual exhibit. So we're just sort of looking at all these different examples and thinking about how do we create as a group, can pull all of our resources to create our own version of Walking in Their Footsteps, where we kind of bring in all of these elements, think about all the resources we have in Los Angeles, who do we know, what organizations can we tap into to create these really beautiful, rich experiences for our students.